Hey everyone, today it's Christmas, so Merry Christmas everyone. And this year 2020 has been a crazy year, but yeah, today I'm actually outside. I usually do my reviews, my videos, inside, like a tabletop kind of view or in my car. But today I just decided to just come outside to my front porch and just enjoy this beautiful day. It's about like, in the 60s, maybe low 70s, very sunny, no clouds, just a beautiful day. So I just felt like, you know what, why don't I just come out here and just really just take this all in, just find something to be thankful for today, right? Aside from being Christmas, just being, just another day of life. But anyways, with that being said, today I want to talk to you about the Spyderco Swayback. And I just brought all my knives out here. And actually, all my knives are in this case. This is, I believe, the Vault case. I have a bunch of stickers in it. But let me just open it up real quick. And I'll do like a review on the Vault case. Like a more in-depth review. But just a quick little thing, I just want to open it up. So, I have my knives here. I have like... I can't really take it all out, but all my knives are in here. And so I brought all my knives out just to, do some comparisons and just really talk about this Swayback. I've had this knife for about, I would say, maybe 4 or 5 months now. And when I first saw this, coming out in the Spyderco, like that new release catalog, I was like really stoked. I love the design, the profile, the aesthetic of it. I've never handled or owned the Swayback design. I know it kind of harkens back to more that traditional slip joint kind of ethos, and I was really excited to see Spyderco, work with Marcin Schließ to come out with like a kind of a really sleek, kind of modern take on the Swayback design. So when it came out, I just wanted to get it in hand and just experience it for myself. Before I actually got it actually took me, I think, a couple weeks or a few months to actually pull the trigger and buy this knife, because when this first came out, all of the major knife reviewers on YouTube, they were like, they kind of had mixed feelings about it. And, that kind of influenced me, to be honest, because I always like to watch knife reviews, before I buy a knife, before I spend my hard-earned money, just to see what, the feedback is. And it was just like a mixed bag. Some people liked it. Some people didn't like it much. Some people were kind of like whatever's about it. And, so I was like kind of going back and forth about it, but after thinking about it, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy it because it appeals to me. And if I don't like it, then I don't like it, but, I really wanted to get it in hand. And at the end of the day, I just decided to go for it because I was really intrigued by it. I really wanted to experience it, and I'm a big fan of Mr. Schließ's work. I've owned the Techno 1, the Spidey Chef, and so I knew that any knife that really comes from him is gonna be high quality regardless, and not just quality, but the design's gonna be solid. And I'm so glad I bought this knife, because despite what the reviews were saying and the different feedback, I think this is an amazing knife, and I think this is a big win for Spyderco. As of Christmas Day, I've seen it still available in various vendors. DLT Trading is my go-to, but I'm pretty sure it's available at all the major knife retailers as of today. But yeah, I just if you don't have any more time, I'd say go. If you're interested in this knife, but you've been kind of put off by, the different reviews out there, I say go ahead and go for it. If this profile, if this design really speaks to you, I say go for it, because this is an awesome knife. Like I said, I brought a bunch of my knives out here. One knife that I've been carrying very regularly during this COVID pandemic season has been the DPX Gear Hest Folder Classic Decade Edition. This is the one that comes with the M390 blade and the micarta scale, which I think this. I've been harping on this knife a lot because this is such an awesome knife. I've been carrying this pretty much every day since I got it in early December, and it's been amazing. Anyways. I'll bring out some of the other Spydercos that I have in my rotation. Of course, the Hall of Famer Spyderco Paramilitary 2. This is an awesome knife. I've had like 2 or 3 different versions of this knife, and I finally settled with this DLC coated camo version because I just love how it looks. And if you know anything about the Paramilitary 2, it's just such a solid, all-around, all-purpose, everyday carry knife. Such a great knife. And I've taken it apart, I cleaned it, and I've come to appreciate it even more so because it comes back. It's hard to really take this apart fully because of the way they've designed that lanyard hold. But anyways, I don't want to talk too much about this knife. Let me see. Another Spyderco knife that I have in my collection would be the little brother, the Para 3. Yeah, I have the screw missing. I actually ordered titanium screws, the bronze anodized from Blades We Love, so that should be incoming. But this isn't a Maximate, and this is such an awesome knife. I love it. But yeah, these 3 are the only Spydercos I have in my collection currently. But yeah, so kind of just to go, I want to talk about my experience with the knife so far. Like I said, I've had this for a couple months now, and it's just been, honestly, out of all the Spydercos I've owned, and I've owned a lot of Spydercos, I feel like this is one of the sliciest Spydercos I've ever owned. Even though it's not a flat grind, it's actually a deep hollow grind, and it comes to a very fine edge, and this thing cuts so stinking awesome. And I think that's what Spyderco is really like, what they prioritize over anything is cutting performance, and I feel like it's first cutting performance, then ergonomics, and then design, or at least aesthetic, because to be honest, some of the Spyderco knives, they just look plain like it got hit by the ugly stick or something. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the prettiest knives, but I love that they cut, like, I would say like most, or if not all, Spydercos cut very well, and they feel very good in the hand. And if you've never handled like a swayback like design where, so when I say swayback, this is what I'm talking about. Like, it kind of sways back a little bit, pretty much. So it may look awkward, but it feels very good in the hand. I have small to medium sized hands, and as you can see, I could fit my whole hand. I could wrap it around it with, and I still have a lot of handle to kind of move up and down on. But yeah, this handle profile is actually really awesome for just kind of the traditional kind of grip. Because it swells, it has a big butt, you will feel the swell more in the back part of the hand. And it's not a hot spot, but it just fills out your hand a little more on the back part. And this kind of swerve upward, what it does, at least in my hand, is it really secures the handle to the meat of my thumb meat right there. So it just kind of locks it in. Really comfortable to use. I like to use my knives in the pinch grip most of the time. And what I love about Spyderco knives is because you have that hole versus a thumb stud, is really comfortable to pinch grip and use this knife like this. So when I'm opening boxes, I'll be using the pinch grip. When I'm like cutting packages or food, I'll use a pinch grip. And even when I use like kitchen knives, I like to use that pinch grip to prepare food. So this knife is really comfortable. The way they chamfered the top portion of the handles also really kind of gives it that really warm, just comfortable, just contour when you do that pinch grip. Um, like I said, this is it has a large hollow grind, so it cuts very well. I love how they really just finished. They did like a tumble, kind of mirror tumble finish on this, on the blade, and it's just really nice. Let me see if I could try to get that for you. I don't know if it's gonna come across on the screen, but yeah, it has like a mirror, a polished kind of a tumble finish, which just looks really stunning. All the corners in the thumb hole are knocked down, so it's really comfortable to interact with that thumb hole when you open it. One of the complaints that I've seen across the board with this knife has been just the way that they kind of designed the access to the thumb hole. It's a little bit, it takes a little bit of a learning curve to actuate the knife, just because the way they kind of shaped out this cutout, it's very it's just very close to the hole. So and if you can see the handle, the height of the handle is kind of tall, so it takes a little bit of a getting used to kind of learn how to kind of get the meat of your thumb into that hole and then open it. But once you kind of get your hand kind of comfortable with actuating the knife, it's really easy. So initially it might feel a little awkward for you, especially if you have like bigger thumbs. It might be a little bit more awkward, but after you kind of play with it, for a little while, and you can see it's just super easy to actuate. And I could even thumb flick it. Sometimes I'll misfire, but now I've kind of gotten the hang of it, so now I could do it pretty consistently, as you can see. See, I misfired, but yeah. If you're left-handed, you could do the Spidey flick like that. I'm not left-handed, but even with me not being left-handed, I could Spidey flick it. So I feel like this is a good knife for a left-handed user in some ways. I think opening-wise, you, as a left-handed person, you have more options, or at least you have the Spidey flick option, really, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's really one of the major complaints I've seen with other reviewers, other like knife nuts like myself. But if that's literally the only thing that's like stopping you from getting this knife, I'd say like don't let it stop you, because everything else about this knife is just really great. The action on this, it feels a little bit more on the lighter side. It is glassy, buttery smooth. I would say if I could, compare it, it would be closest to maybe a Chris Reeve Sabenza 21. Just that glassy smoothness. It feels like it has about the same, maybe a little bit lighter resistance on the Swayback. Yeah, so they both have that glassy smooth action, but I feel like the Swayback, it feels a little just less resistance. Actually another thing I do want to mention is that, at least on my knife, if I just slow roll it, like sometimes the lock won't engage 100%. So let me try to do like a light. Well, see, right now it's engaging, but I noticed that sometimes if I just kind of open it very slowly, see, it disengaged right there. Sometimes that happens. See, it like I opened it very slowly. It's like barely on the edge, and I could just close it without disengaging it. See. So that's just one thing to note. I don't know if it's just my knife. I know I could fix it by just taking the knife apart and then just kind of adding more tension to the lock bar, just bending it over a little bit so it creates more tension. But yeah, that's just one thing to note. I don't think it's a negative or a positive, but just something to just be aware of if you do tend to be like a slow light opener. See, it doesn't it kind of disengages on its own. See, like that. But if you just open it like a normal person, it'll lock up 100% all the time. Yeah, so if you flick it, it'll lock up. There's no issue. Lockup is solid in every direction. There is no wiggle whatsoever with this knife. Yeah, so that's that. Another kind of major complaint I've heard is just this pocket clip, how it kind of looks a little janky. Compared, it doesn't really go with the rest of the knife. I personally think it goes with the knife. It looks like they kind of like stone washed this to try to match the finish on the blade, and I feel like it does match like fairly closely. I don't know if you could see that. So that and then that. So yeah, I feel like the finish on both parts do match. I think though, you know, some people have said that it doesn't carry, it carries kind of, you know, high, so it does kind of, you know, if you put it in a pocket, it'll come up like, you know, like that, you know, so you'll see maybe like half an inch of the butt coming out of your pocket. I feel like that's, to me, that's like a non-issue, because I just could use that to pull it out of my pocket, you know, and I'm not into like conceal carry or whatnot, so I feel like that's adequate, you know. There is no hot spots on this knife for me, at least. Like I said, I have small to medium sized hands, and when I use a knife, like I said, I pinch grip it, so there is no hot spot whatsoever. I love how the titanium scales on both sides are contoured. They are rounded, as you can see, so it does feel my hand very well. It just feels it feels really good. I do want to swing back to the Swayback design. I did mention beforehand that you'll feel like, because it swells, there is more, I guess, material on the butt of the handle. You'll feel it in the back part of the hand more. So it does feel a little bit wanting in the front area of the hand. You know, it does feel a little lacking. I mean, it's not a knock on the knife at all, because I think that's just kind of the nature of the Swayback design. Is from what I've heard, you know, it was really designed to kind of be used in a reverse kind of grip like this, I guess, you know, to kind of cut things. I guess if you grab something and you cut it this way or whatnot. So actually this way it feels really good too, and as you can see, it does have like a little ramp. I don't know if that was by design or whatnot, but it does, like, my thumb lands right there on that ramp, so it does feel very natural to hold it like this. You do feel the clip though, for sure, but it feels fairly it feels actually pretty comfortable holding it like this. But you know, personally, I don't use my knives like this usually. So yeah, that's that. So if you do find yourself cutting things like this a lot, then I feel like the Swayback design will be perfect for you. So yeah, that, you know, I feel like the construction of the knife, I love it. It's just really 2 body screws and then the pivot screw. I believe this is a T6 and then a T8 or T10. But I love when knife companies, they use this kind of style of pins, where it kind of has like that curve. I don't know what you call it. It just blanks my mind. But yeah, I did take this apart. It's really easy to take apart. It's just, you know, like I said, you unscrew these screws and it comes apart, and then inside is phosphor bronze washers, and then the blade is just really simple, super easy to maintain, and it comes back together really easily. And this is perfectly centered, and the action is perfect. You know, lockup is solid. It's locking up for me like at about 45%, and it hasn't moved from there ever since I gotten this knife. Overall this knife is just been really good. I'm actually kind of surprised that, you know, it didn't get sold out, or just more people are not like really raving about it, just because I feel like this was one of the best knives that Spyderco came out with, in my opinion, you know. And so yeah, if you're just on the fence, you know, because of the different complaints that and they're all legitimate complaints. I'm not saying they're not like valid or not. I'm just saying, for me personally, they're just not really an issue for me, you know what I'm saying. But if you are on the fence but you still are very interested in this knife, I say go ahead and get it. I feel like this is a very solid release from Spyderco. and it's just been just a joy to use. Oh yeah, I do want to also mention, I love how this knife looks when it's opened. I love that kind of that profile. It's just that you got that sway, and then you got that. I love Wharncliffe blades or sheep's foot or whatever you call it. I love that straight edge, and then it kind of then swings back up around. I love just like the aesthetic, the profile of this knife. But also I love when companies are able to pull off a design that also makes the knife look so good when it's closed. You know what I'm saying? This knife looks just so streamlined, so just, it has like that traditional like vibe, but very just sleek and modern at the same time. I love how that blade, the spine of the blade just kind of just very gently just kind of integrates into the handle. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, this knife looks so good closed. Let me see if there's a knife that I could say doesn't look good when it's closed. Actually all my knives look good when they're closed. Shoot, like the Spyderco Delica. I've had the Delica for many years, and it's just the Delica doesn't look that good. You know what I mean? Closed. Because it has that gap right where the tang of the blade is. So I love when companies are able to pull off a knife design that looks really good when it's opened and when it's closed. Let me see if there's anything else to really talk about this knife. Actually carry carries very good in the pocket because it has a very slim profile in all directions. It really doesn't get in the way if you need to get anything else in the pocket that you're carrying this knife. Some knives, I like a lot of flippers, because it has that tab. When you have it in the pocket like this, that kind of gets in the way. It's a little bit more uncomfortable. But with this knife, it's just, there is no harsh points that are sticking out or anything, so it just carries very pleasantly in the pocket. So overall this has been a great just Spyderco. Actually one of the favorite Spydercos that I've owned ever, and I've had a lot of Spydercos, like I said. But yeah, this has been a great just addition to my rotation. I love it. If you're all about cutting performance, man, this knife cuts. Let me tell you, it cuts so good. I just can't say that enough. Like, it cuts so good. Anyways, would that be? Yeah. And it doesn't have a sharpening coil. And for a long time, I didn't. I like the sharpening coils on my knife just because it does make sharpening a lot easier. It prevents the knife from forming like a recurve or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that's like the downside of not having a sharpening tool, is especially with a straight edge, you might start getting maybe a weird recurve, or this back portion of the knife might not get sharpened as well as the rest of the edge. But the great thing about not having a choil is whenever you're cutting something, it doesn't get bound up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for example, like when I've been using the the DPX Gear Hest folder, and it has a really large sharpening choil. And the thing is that when I'm cutting through material, sometimes it'll kind of bind up right there because it's like a very thick kind of a choil. So and then so what I have to do is I have to kind of take the knife out, reset, and then try to cut through it again. So that's the downside of having a sharpening choil. But with this knife, you don't have that, so I just never had to encounter like the material binding up in any way. And so yeah, I think this is like a slicing machine. Yeah, it's been great. Oops, sorry about that. So yeah, with that being said, if you're on the fence, go ahead and get yourself a Christmas present, with the Swayback. It's been a very solid everyday carry. All right, with that said, Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope, despite everything that's going on, that you are having a safe and healthy Christmas. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.